Hi, everybody. This is a wee bit of alchemy. I'm Rick Barrett. Welcome. We've been doing Tai Chi infused with the different elements in the Chinese uh, calendar, and each element corresponds to a season, and and it marks the pattern that's envisioned throughout the year, the going from the water and winter, uh, which is where we gather, everything comes together. It's kind of returning to the source, and then it goes to the wood chi of springtime, and so that the the water element corresponds to the will, and the wood energy corresponds to Hun, which is the soul, and the and that moves us in the direction of summer, which is the fire element, and that is Shen, and that's kind of the most radiating energy, radiating spirit of the year. So that's it. Right now we are kind of in the decline of that summer energy, but it's still burning very brightly. This is where the uh, you achieve the height of personal self awareness for the year, and then it starts to fade and starts to return back to the yin. So then that's where we get into metal energy, which is the topic tonight, and that's the fall, and then we move back to water. So we're going from the expanded yang of summertime to back to the of fire, and then we're going back to water, and the metal is it condenses, and then the earth energy is seen as the center, and it's like it holds all of them together. It's the glue, the gravitational field that holds all these things together, and also provides energy for its expression. So this metal energy is usually it's interpreted as a letting go or throwing away, that kind of thing. The emotion, the negative emotion that is associated with it is grief. That is, you're losing something by doing that. But it's a kind of only a very incomplete understanding of what metal is about. It's the organs associated with that are the lungs and the large intestine, and the body part is the skin. So what we have here is the lungs are in constant participation with life. That is, you're inhaling and exhaling. You're inhaling that which nourishes us, exhaling that which poisons us, basically. So getting rid of so in the metal energy is has both aspects of that. That is, it's taking in the nourishment, but it's also getting rid of that which no longer feeds us. The same thing with the large intestine. It takes out the nutrients that we need and gets rid of the waste products. So that's that function there. It's a very important function. The metal energy is we're condensing. That is, we're getting more and more solid as we move toward yin, and this is so the metal spirit is Po, which is spelled Po, and it is your body spirit. So what's happening is that we've gone from the apex, the shining, luminous spirit of fire, to now we're getting more and more condensed as we discard stuff and we we condense, and the spirit, it is using whatever we've gotten from the previous cycles of the year, the previous elements of the year, and they are then ingested, and we take that and we use that to feed, nourish our bodies. And so as we move back toward the water, where this all kind of goes back into, you can think of it as like a hibernation period where we're just gathering all together, integrating all this information that we've encountered through this cycle. So there's you can think of it as a circle, but it's not just spinning its wheel, going around and around the same place. It's actually spiraling as the Hun is driving us toward our realization of our destiny. So that's the idea that is, we have, the images that you have, the will of heaven is pulling us along and saying that's what we aspire to, and it is, we then use our will to find the best way to express that spiritual message, in our lives. We then bring it back into the body, in the metal energy, and we return to water, where we then nourish and begin the process over again, but taking it to the next level. So it's not we're not the same place the last time. We are hopefully a little farther along in our understanding of what's going on, in the realization of our destiny. So one of the qualities of metal too is it's malleable. You can shape it, you can recast it. Let's say you take gold and you can melt it down and make a different form for it. So we're doing that with our bodies as well. We are creating different forms, and we are learning from that. That becomes part of the experiential process. Like, oh, what did I get from being that person that day, that in those circumstances. So what we're going to be doing then is this with metal, is we're going to bring that and infuse it into the Tai Chi form. One thing I like to, an image I think I find very helpful, is the image of a pendulum, and that is that the pendulum moves in one direction till it reaches its ultimate point, and then there's a turnaround, and it goes back the other direction. And that point of the turnaround is infinitesimally small and short. So it's almost no time and space occurring there, but it's at that point where the pendulum has the maximum of potential energy that drives it in the other direction. And so what we're doing with metal is that metal is condensed. The movements are condensed, and they're short and they're crisp. So you think of water as a kind of a very flowy kind of a thing, whereas metal is, boom, you pick a spot in space, and your energy is going to that spot. You're directing it, so you're focusing your E, and you're making it happen in that space and letting it go. And that space is it's like the pendulum turnaround. It doesn't last very long, but there's a moment there. And when we do our form, we'll be practicing it first, going through it once by actually stopping and finding that spot, and really each movement locating that. And then we'll go through it again, and that time it'll be more of a flow, but with that still in mind. That is, even though the apparent movements are continuous, there is that tiny turnaround where yang becomes yin and yin becomes yang. And that is where the energy is, that turnaround is where the energy gets generated for the process, for the form itself.